It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you keep so far. He meddled in things. He meddled in myths.
Where will we go next? It's a phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Mulder.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Kaiju. To my left,
Jasmine with
and across from us,
Eli Watson.
and we are
Cryptid Campfire.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're in the middle of the ocean somewhere on a raft. We're keeping that storyline going, so have fun. Stefan got pulled undersea by a mermaid to the Atlantis, where he's the rightful king.
What? Dude, the mythos behind Stefan in this podcast, it's gonna be like, by the time we're done, dude, someone's gonna be able to publish a book about like just the
adventures
mythos
of Stefan Myers.
Yeah, dude.
King of Atlantis.
I call rights. I call dibs.
Movie rights.
Better get on it.
Yeah.
We'll get Stephen Merchant to play Stefan. in the movie.
Why wouldn't we just get Stefan to play Stefan?
That'll be in the dramatic retellings. But today I think we're going to be talking about Phantom Islands.
Yep.
Not exactly a cryptid, but still cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we did 14 episodes on aliens, which are not cryptids. So here we are.
Phantom Islands aren't even creatures, though, but you could make the argument that they're living things, considering
Yeah.
that they're land with vegetation, maybe?
Could they be sentient in themselves?
We'll see.
Are they just the backs of giant turtles?
Oh, flying through the air.
So,
But yeah, Phantom Island is in the name. It's an island that is usually marked on a map, an atlas. And then when people go to visit, or if people even did visit, and when they go back, it's gone.
Whoa.
yeah. So, during centuries of ocean exploration, these islands were sighted, charted, described, and even explored, but their existence had never been fully verified, and this is because a plethora of reasons.
Mhm.
So, technological advancements which aided in better ocean cartography would lead to the islands being mysteriously omitted in later editions of maps. So, essentially, Phantom Islands are either islands that never existed or islands that did exist but no longer exist.
What about misidentified?
What about it?
Never existed. That's falls under never existed because
Oh.
it wasn't actually an island. So they either never existed or they once existed and no longer do. So islands that never existed were charted due to a multitude of reasons, including misidentification of things like icebergs, mirages, and the existence of Phantom Islands might also have been due to pure fabrication from navigators. So get this. Early explorers and navigators sometimes made up the existence of islands, inspired by local legends and myths. Because they were creative and bored, so let's just pretend that there's an island here.
Do.
Well, they kind of like, I don't know. It's like they wanted to make it fit. Anyways, that part's not important. The more interesting part is that empires, would pay explorers to find and claim land. So explorers would go out and search for new islands, and anything that they could discover or claim existed, there were enough people standing by to pay them to claim it. So a lot of maps in the Caribbean and Pacific soon became covered with fictional islands that would stick around on the maps for centuries because people were just making stuff up because they want to get paid.
That's like if you're ever on like social media and they're like, tag 2 your best friends and the reason why you think you should win this, and you're just like, I'm gonna make up names because they're not gonna really click on them.
Yeah. So that's islands that like never existed. Misidentification, BS, creation. Islands that did exist but don't exist now are islands that disappeared because of natural disasters like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, landslides,
Atlantis.
tectonic
I was gonna
movements.
say.
Atlantis, yes. And some are also believed to have existed on sandbanks, which were later submerged by rising sea levels. So,
So what you're saying is Atlantis was real?
Essentially, I mean, we talked about how it was a logical thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the
And
reason.
Jasmine's saying that it's real, that she believes in Atlantis.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Atlantis is the reason why the Bronze Age collapsed.
So, even in the age of satellite photography, maps are not immune to these kinds of errors. Until as recently as 2012, Google Maps actually included Sandy Island.
Whoa, why are you just gonna drop that? I have research on that.
Okay.
Whoa.
Well, I'm still talking sciencey stuff, so I'm
But
just
now they know the
explaining-
secrets,
But now
dude.
they know the secrets. It's fine.
National Treasure 3.
So we'll talk more about it when we go into more examples, but this was a phantom island discovered by Captain James Cook off the coast of Australia in 1774.
And he was killed.
It appeared as an ominous blob of black pixels in the satellite imagery, and Google's algorithms had tried to reconcile the conflicting map data. So even in the 2000s, there were phantom islands being placed on maps.
You know why they took it out? Because some dude was like, I'm gonna sail to Sandy Island, and then it wasn't there.
Oh, no.
That's what happened in 2012. It was included in every map.
And
And then nobody thought to go there
Everyone-
until one dude was like, "Yo,
I
I
wanna
want to
go."
go," and then it wasn't there.
It's just so funny. It's just it's been around for so long. And it's like, yeah, what the hell? He's just like, I want to go there. That sounds fun. And it's just him in the middle of the ocean.
Well, since we're on the topic of this specific island, did you want to say what it actually ended up being?
A big whale.
No, I mean you covered everything.
I mean, it didn't just not exist. I mean, there was something there, but it ended up appearing as just it was a pumice raft ejected from a volcanic eruption, is what people think. But the debate of phantom islands just goes beyond cartographical trivia, and actually, unfortunately, ends up in the conversation of politics. So, get this. Here's an example. Rockall is an uninhabited chunk of granite jutting out of the Atlantic Ocean about 300 kilometers west of the outer Hebrides, and over which the UK claims sovereignty. So the UK is like, this is our rock. This is our rock island.
This is our Dwayne Johnson.
But whether or not the boulder met the legal definition of an island, which would have granted the UK full territorial and fishing rights for the surrounding waters, was a matter of debate until the mid-90s. And in 1997, the United Nations Convention for the Law of the Sea determined that rocks which cannot sustain human habitation or economic life of their own shall have no exclusive economic zone or continental shelf.
So what does that mean?
So this is not entirely a phantom island. I'm just stating this fact because it's about islands, really. Because something even crazier happened in China when recently.
I just still don't understand what happened with the rock.
Nobody owns it. It's just a rock in the middle of the ocean. The UK wants it. Ireland doesn't care about it, but the government's like, it's a rock. There's nothing.
Unless
it can't
people
do anything.
can live on it and you can start an economy on it, it's not an island.
Yeah. But a few years ago, China was actually dumping vast quantities of sand into the South China Sea.
To create an island, right?
To create around half a dozen islands.
Whoa.
On top of existing reefs to fortify its territorial claims. So they built ports, airstrips, radar facilities, solar arrays, lighthouses, and other military buildings. So maybe someday those islands might be phantom islands because they just freaking created land. They're like, let's take tons and tons and tons of sand and dump it into the ocean, which actually caused a lot of problems and a lot of controversy. But, it's an island.
That's what communism gets you, kids.
Whoa, your own island.
Yeah.
Communism does pay.
Yeah, no it doesn't, kids.
So that's all I got for sciencey stuff. So now we'll actually talk about some of the Phantom Island legends and stories that have happened.
Did you get one possible reason? I don't know if you covered this, but basically sometimes there's islands there that are above the water during low tide, but disappear underwater during high tide. So that does not explain any of the following stories, but that is an interesting fact.
Keep in mind, y'all.
So, I guess we have the first one is Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
which is pronounced exactly like the country, but has nothing to do.
But it
With
has
the-
an S instead of a Z,
It
right?
has an S instead of a Z, but that's also how Brazil is spelt in Portuguese.
What
So
madness.
to I guess differentiate it, it's also known as Hy-Brasil,
Oh.
with Hy-Brazil.
It's always 420 in Hy-Brasil.
So it's west of Ireland, actually, in the Atlantic Ocean. Supposedly it's there, and it's cloaked in mist every single day, except for one day every 7 years.
Whoa.
And it can never be reached. You can never get to this island. And it appears in 4 maps across 200 years. So in like 1480, 1481, there was an expedition actually sent out to go look for this island, for Hy-Brasil. And let's see. I don't think they found anything, because
Yeah.
that's kind of where the story ends on that. But in 1674, a Captain John Nisbet claimed to have seen the island. And not only that, he said the island was inhabited by large black rabbits and a magician who lived in a stone castle.
That's amazing.
Whoa.
This is all from a drive-by.
Yeah. They got big bunnies over there, and there's the guy with the top hat.
Yeah. So, but basically, everyone thinks this is made up by an Irish author named Richard Head. So, it's not there. It's a phantom island.
So when I was doing my research for this episode, I came across a website. It's andrewpeckler.com/phantom-islands.
Who's Andrew Peckler?
I'm glad you asked. So Andrew Peckler is a experimental musician and artist, and he worked together with cultural anthropologist Stephanie Kiwi Menrath, and they created this interactive map online of Phantom Islands. So the description on the website says, Phantom Islands, a sonic atlas, is an online interactive map developed with cultural anthropologist Stephanie Kiwi Menrath and experimental musician and artist Andrew Peckler. You can explore the islands and learn their history while listening to soundscapes created by Peckler, which interprets and presents these imaginations as a quasi-ethnographic catalog of music and synthetic field reports. So basically, you can go on this interactive map and explore all of these Phantom Islands and listen to sounds that don't actually come from the island because he created them. So it's half fiction, half true, because all of the information presented about the islands is fact and came from, this cultural anthropologist who then worked with this musician who took his creative liberties and made tracks and sounds about what those islands might sound like their natural tone.
Can I make a note about cultural anthropology? So, anthropology is basically like the study of, I guess, history in the
Histories
most...
and cultures, right?
Right, well, anthropology, there's like physical anthropology, which is like the study of bones and human evolution, and then you have cultural anthropology, which is the study of different cultures. And so what I'm assuming happened here is that they took the locations of the supposed islands along with reports of what the islands were like and just kind of created a 3D, if you will, amalgamation of what they might look and sound like.
Yes.
So,
Cool.
for those who did not understand Jasmine's definition.
So I'm not actually going to play any of the audio because I don't want to get in trouble for copyright or anything like that, but you can straight up go
Just
to his
make your
website.
own sounds while she describes
It's,
them.
So the spelling of his name, if you want to visit this website, is andrewpeckler.com/phantom-islands. That's where you go. But as you were telling us about Hy-Brasil, I decided to hop on the map and see if it was included, which it is. And the information provided here says, Hy-Brasil is first mentioned in writing in the 12th century. The cleric Giraldus Cambrensis reports that it is cloaked in a mist except for one day each 7 years when it becomes visible, which you mentioned. A number of expeditions from the port of Bristol are sent out to search for Hy-Brasil in the late 15th century, the last led by John Cabot, who goes on to reach the coast of North America in 1497. The island appears regularly on maps until 1865, by which time it is called Brazil Rock, and the last supposed sighting is in 1872. And as Eli mentioned, despite its name, it shares no relation to the country of Brazil, which is named for the Brazil wood tree that grew there.
Hey, where's the big bunnies?
And speaking of Brazil, the actual country, they actually thought that was an island.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whoa,
It
this just keeps going. Yeah.
Just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to see some crazy, weird islands, this is a pretty neat website.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll list off a few as we go through this episode.
Well, I have another considerable mention here of the Isle of Demons.
Mm-hmm.
Just the name sounds so cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
It's near Newfoundland, Canada, so northern Canada, east.
Canada, an island of
Atlantic
demons
Ocean.
itself.
So I didn't really get much on this
Mhm.
because it was largely considered to be like not real even back then. But it was believed to be populated by demons and wild beasts who tormented ships as they passed by, or if some cluckhead was like, I'm gonna land on that island, it just got worse.
Yeah.
So not much is really known about the island itself from what I could retrieve. But yeah, that's...
Did it say how they tormented people?
I don't know, like stabbing them.
I would say, like, you see, like, a ship, like, flying, like, sailing by, and it's just, like, an island full of demons. They're all just, like, mooning the ship. They're like, oh, we're completely tormented by these devil butts.
I don't know, dude. Whatever demons do, I guess.
Yeah.
That one's not included on the map, unfortunately. You said it was near Canada?
Yeah.
I don't see it on
Even
here.
Canada's not on the map.
No, Canada's on the map.
The ultimate phantom island,
Um,
Canada.
There's also another one, I'm pretty sure this won't be included on the map, but it's called Isle Philippot in Lake Superior. It's in one of the Great Lakes, and it was actually included. So there was the Treaty of Paris, which officially ended the American Revolution and divided up the land between America and Britain.
Yeah.
Like which land belonged to who, because believe it or not, Britain still owned some of America after the American Revolution.
Yeah.
So, but that was all in Canada. But the Treaty of Paris mentions Lake Philippot.
Interesting.
And it was some Catholic priest who said he saw an island out there, named it after a saint.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just included there for a while until people realized, oh, it's not actually there. So.
That's funny.
But there are islands in Lake Superior, so it's
okay.
a big enough lake to where there are actual islands.
Oh, I was because I don't know how big Lake Superior is. So
It's huge.
Oh, okay. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
It took someone with eyes to be like, wait a minute. There's
No,
nothing
it's like
there.
the Great Lakes are like ginormous.
Mm-hmm.
So, I also have Elizabeth Island, which Sir Francis Drake claimed to have found in 1578 during his circumnavigation of the world.
Mm-hmm.
This was like south of Africa, I believe.
Okay.
Which makes it even more confusing because there are the Elizabeth Islands over there.
Yeah. But not the Elizabeth
Well,
Island.
because it's weird because they drew a map of it and it's like a complete square.
Just perfectly square.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Elizabeth Island. Yeah, good luck. There's a lot of Elizabeth Islands. But yeah, those are the ones I got. So maybe we could just click some random
You
islands.
want to cruise the map? They have this
We're
really
gonna cruise
cool.
the map.
They have this really cool feature where if you
Ooh.
click cruise, it'll take you on a tour. It'll guide you.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah. So we're gonna start off here in Juan de Lisboa.
Portuguese.
So
Gotta run it through Mayan
this
first.
island first appears on a Portuguese map in 1520 and is included in G.A. Magini's 1597 commentary of. Wow, I do not know any of these names or these people or
Pont
these
Leon?
things. Eli, do you know what this says?
Well, I'm looking.
Is that Port Leon?
Where?
Commentary of
Ptolemy?
Ptolemy's
That's Ptolemy.
Geographia?
Geographiae.
Geographiae.
Sorry, I took Latin in high school. 2
No,
years of...
honestly, we need that. You're the one who knows how to pronounce everything.
I don't.
So, specific details are provided in 1707 by the French navigator Boynot, who sees the island on his route between Bourbon and Pondicherry and describes it as about 35 leagues in circumference and possessing a bay with an islet in the middle, along with mountains, forests, rivers, game, hares, and wild pigs. There's bunnies.
Bunnies
There's
again,
bunnies.
dude.
Big giant rabbits.
In 1765, an unidentified buccaneer reports going ashore and killing a dozen oxen in less than 2 hours.
yeah!
just for fun.
And in 1772, a further sighting is made from a ship passing from the Cape of Good Hope to the Isle of France. In 1806, French authorities, eager to expand their operations in the Western Indian Ocean, launched an investigation into the alleged establishment and evacuation of a Portuguese settlement on Juan de Lisboa. I didn't understand that last sentence. In 1806, French authorities, eager to expand...
So I think it's saying... They set out a whole thing to launch an investigation and evacuate, because I think it's... They say it's under Portuguese rule, then they get there and there's nothing.
I see.
I think that's what it's trying to say.
I can see the confusion here is that probably the Portuguese maybe had a settlement on there, supposedly. The French landed at a different part of the island, started setting up, and then they were like, wait a second, this island belongs to the Portuguese, so we need to get off of there, and then realized, wait a second, the island doesn't, it doesn't even, it's not even real.
They're like, wait a friggin' minute.
I see.
Chocolate bleh.
Alright, where do you guys want to go next? Do you want to go towards the Londons, the Trial Rocks, or the Saxonburg Island?
Whoa, what's Saxonburg?
Yeah,
Saxonburg
John Saxon.
Island.
Is Saxsquatch there?
Oh.
Let's go. Oh my.
Oh, we're going,
Prince
we're
and
going.
George
Whoa.
Alright, let's see how many things I can't pronounce in here. Also, fun fact, this map gives you the actual coordinates of these islands. So this is at 20 degrees west, 31 degrees south. If that means anything to anybody who looks at maps a lot. The Dutch merchant J. Lindeman first sights Saxonburg Island on August 23rd, 1670. He describes it as having a narrow peak or column rising in the middle. A number of sketches, including those made by the governor of nearby East India Company, owned island of St. Helena, describe Saxonburg's topology, flora, and fauna in some detail. Further sightings include those made by Captain Galloway of the American ship Fanny in 1804, by Captain Log of the Columbus, albeit 8 degrees further west, and by Captain Head of the True Britain in 1816. None of the above ever actually land on the island.
Yeah.
Benjamin Morrill, in his 1832 book A Narrative of Four Voyages to the South Sea, recounts fruitlessly searching for Saxonburg Island and concluding that it does not exist. In 1965, new information emerges that shows that Morell's mission to find Saxonburg was itself fictitious, concocted to spice up an otherwise unremarkable journey.
Uh-oh. That awkward moment when they catch your lie.
I know, so the island doesn't exist, and neither does the guy's expedition to the fake island.
But there's an American ship called Fanny.
Yeah, I guess so.
And also, it's funny that there's Captain Long and Captain Head.
Loghead?
Yeah, it's just real history's pretty wacky.
Dude, you will not believe how wacky it is, dude.
I believe it.
Good lord.
Let's head to the Aurora Islands.
Oh.
Okay, where's that at?
I wish I knew.
It's at 48 degrees west, 53 degrees
Well, like,
south.
what's it off the coast
Well,
of?
that's the hard thing, is you have to zoom out. So let me see if I can zoom out here. Aurora Islands are located south of South America, so off of the South American coast.
Towards Antarctica?
Yes.
Yes.
So let's read about them
On the Pacific side
as
or
we
the
zoom
Atlantic?
back in. What?
Pacific or Atlantic?
The one on the right.
So Atlantic.
Yeah.
All right.
You can tell I didn't pay attention in geography class.
It's all good.
In April 1502, while leading a Portuguese expedition to explore the southward extent of the recently discovered New World, Amerigo Vespucci
Which America is named after?
sets sail from Cabo Frio in Brazil and follows the Sirocco winds into the rough, cold South Atlantic. This far below the equator, the familiar constellations of the north disappear beyond the horizon, and in the middle of a storm, a new land is sighted. Sailing alongside for almost 20 leagues, Vespucci describes the coast as wild, without any harbor or people, and does not attempt to land there. The island remains lost for 250 years until the Spanish trade ship Aurora identifies 3 islands at the same location in 1762. These islands, now called the Auroras, are cited several times again in the 18th and 19th century and deliver the basis for the plot of Edgar Allan Poe's The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket.
Oh, I've heard that poem.
But the last appearance of it was on John Laurie's 1859 world map, so it's no longer included.
Wow.
Crazy.
Amerigo Vespucci, dude. He's cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. I honestly would love to do, like, a whole thing on, like, old world explorers, just because they're cool.
Yeah.
And, like...
bunch of wild, wacky weirdos going around.
I mean, like, Sir Francis Drake, too.
Yeah.
Also really cool.
He's in, you look for his treasure in Uncharted.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Drake's Fortune.
Oh, interesting.
Ah.
I clearly haven't played it.
You should, it's good.
But, did we want to talk about...
The end-all, be-all?
the end-all, be-all?
Yeah, tell us your story. I'm intrigued to hear this.
Because it's actually, it delves into a little bit of the old world explorer type thing. So, this is about an island called Crocker Land. So, and that already initially caught my attention because Crocker Land is a terrible name for any place.
Yeah.
But it was supposedly discovered by a man named Robert E. Peary, who in 1906 led an expedition to the North Pole, but it failed.
He was trying to find Santa?
Well, I don't know. They were just trying to get to the Arctic Circle. But he reported in his book that he had sighted an island from the heights of Ellesmere Island, which is like in Canada, like really up north. Like, I mean, we're talking about the Arctic Circle, so like way up there. So he said he was on top of this mountain on Ellesmere Island, was looking out over the ocean, saw an island named Crocker Land. And he named it Crocker Land because
That was the name of the island?
No, the name of one of his financial bankers, George Crocker.
Oh, okay.
So, and...
I was going to say, because, you know, like the old maps where they have the names, like, written on the island?
Mm-hmm.
So he's, like, standing up high, and he's just like, I see an island, because I can read Crocker Land on it.
Crocker Land. So, this is where it gets twisted, okay? So this goes beyond just a phantom island. This, like, continues for a little bit. So according to Perry's diary, he made up the island. Mm-hmm. Completely fabricated it.
He says this in his own diary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because he made it up, because obviously he didn't get to the North Pole, but he wanted to, so he made it up, named it after one of his financial bankers in an attempt to get him to fund another expedition.
Okay.
So it's about the money, like I mentioned at the beginning.
It's about the money, yeah. And so it didn't work because, like I said, his expedition was in 1906. George Crocker lived in San Francisco. Something big happened in 1906, a.k.a. an earthquake that wrecked the entire city. Yeah. So all of his money started going to repairing the city.
Oh, I was going to say, it fell into the cracks of the earthquake and he couldn't get it.
No. But the story doesn't end there. Mm-hmm. In autumn 1909, Perry returns to civilization at the same time as a guy named Frederick Cook. They had both departed to go to the North Pole, but Cook actually made it to the North Pole. Mm-hmm.
So he says.
I'm pretty sure he did. Okay. And Perry said that he had made it to the North Pole and had seen Crocker Land, and Cook, who had traversed the same waters, had not seen Crocker Land. So there was a big, hullabaloo about one of you guys is lying. Yeah. And
one of you guys are full of crock.
Well, some people... So I have a guy named Donald Baxter Macmillan, who was sponsored by the American Museum of Natural History, along with the American Geographical Society and the University of Illinois, the Museum of Natural History there,
Mhm.
they all
Those are
sponsored an expedition.
Some valid sponsors.
Yeah. And so, the expedition was organized, like, again, Donald Baxter Macmillan, who's, like, really the main character here. And so, they wanted to go find Crocker Land.
Yeah.
So, the person who was going to act as guide was a guy named Minnick Wallace, who was taken from Greenland to America in 1897
Whoa.
by our friend Perry.
Okay.
And he was one of 6, like, Inuk people to be taken over to America.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds so terrible, dude. But they were getting studied by the American Museum of Natural History. These people were being studied.
Whoa.
And the Museum of Natural History had custody over them.
Whoa.
Yeah, and...
If that's not the most American history thing ever, I don't know what is.
Well, I think most of them died from tuberculosis, and one of them went back to Greenland. So Minnick was really the only one left, and he was going to serve as guide and translator for the expedition. So, important to note, Perry, the guy who said that Crocker Land existed, was not on the expedition.
Why?
I don't know.
He missed the bus.
But he has ties. He has ties all throughout, and we'll see. So, Macmillan was interviewed about Crocker Land, even though he had never seen it.
Yeah.
You know, you think they would interview Perry, but they didn't. They interviewed Macmillan, and so he said this in a newspaper. He said, "Its boundaries and extent can only be guessed at, but I am certain that strange animals will be found there, and I hope to discover a new race of men." Wow. A lot to unpack there, which I will not address.
Yeah. Weird animals, eh?
Yeah. So, they left the Brooklyn Navy Yard on July 2nd, 1913. So, it took several years to organize this expedition.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not take long for the expedition to go wrong.
Oh, no.
So, 2 weeks later, the ship hits a rock while trying to avoid an iceberg. And Macmillan blames the captain of the ship because he was drunk. So already off to a great start. So they transfer to another ship and head off to Greenland, to Etah in northwest Greenland, and they finally get there in the second week of August, and they go up a little bit, set up a base camp, an 8-room base camp with electricity and everything. They even set up a radio to try to establish communication to the outside world, and they never got it to work.
Mm-hmm.
So the entirety of the time they are there, they have no communication with the outside world.
Whoa.
Sounds about right. That's usually what happens when people go on expeditions. There's always some kind of technological malfunction.
So, oh, good Lord. So Macmillan is there with a geologist named Walter Elmer Elkbar. Well, what was his name? It's scribbled. I scribbled
Can't
it.
read your own writing.
No, his name is Scribbled.
All right, I'll Ekba, something like that.
Okay.
So Walter Elmer Ekba, and I'll correct myself when I find it again because it's in here. Let me see if I can find it.
That's his name from now on, Ekbar.
So no, Ekba.
Ekba.
And then he's also there with a Navy ensign Fitzhugh Green, who's an engineer, and 7 Inuit people. Mm-hmm. And they set off to find Crocker Island on March 11th, 1914.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were there for a while. Trying to get that darn radio to work.
That's crazy because they're like, oh, we're up there trying to explore Crocker Land, got the radio, and I'm like, World War I's happening.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, they're just isolated. They don't know that the world's at war.
Dude, it gets crazier. So they start traveling like thousands of miles across just like frozen wasteland, and they reached a glacier called Beitstad, and it took 3 days to climb. Oh, there he goes. Ekbla. Ekbla is his name.
That's not any better.
No. So Ekbla, while they're climbing this glacier, he gets like frostbite, like so bad he has to be taken back to base camp.
Oof.
So already he's down for the count. But one by one, everyone starts giving up and turning back. Mm-hmm. And so by the time the expedition actually makes it to the Arctic Circle on April 11th of 1914, it's only Macmillan, Green, and 2 Inuit people named Pugatok and Itakasuk, and that's my best attempt to try to pronounce it. So it's a lot of harsh words or harsh consonants
Syllables
in there.
or consonants.
So, and I don't know how the language works. So, anyways, they're like sled dogging it up there. And on April 21st of 1914, Macmillan said he saw an island with hills and valleys. He thought it was Crocker Land. But Pugatock said that it was just an illusion, that it was just mist. And this guy was a hunter. He had lived in the area for like 20 plus years. Like, he knew what he was talking about. But Macmillan was like, we're going to keep going forward. And he like almost gets everyone killed because...
Can I interrupt for a quick second? We know I'm bad with geography. So this is happening in the Arctic Circle, where it's freezing cold. People are suffering of frostbite. So what does land look like up there? Is it icy? Is it covered in snow? Can you see vegetation? Because I'm wondering...
I'm sure you can.
How can you tell the difference between land and ice? Like just an iceberg? Or is that what we're leading to?
Well, it's more than that. But I don't know.
Okay.
But basically, they thought they saw an island, or Macmillan did. And Pugatock was like, no, it's just mist, bro. And then, like 6 days later, on the 27th, Macmillan realized Pugatock was actually correct, that it was just mist.
Oh, no.
And so they had to turn around, and this is where the story starts to take a real turn. But Macmillan sent Green and Pugatock, so Green is the Navy ensign and engineer. He sent them west to go seek out a route. I'm not sure what the reason was, because Macmillan and Itakasuk kept going south.
Oh.
So they like split up. But the weather was like so bad that Green and Pugatock had to take shelter in the snow cave. But the snow like annihilated one of the teams of dogs.
Oh, no.
So they only had one like sled. And so they're there in this ice cave, and they're arguing about which way to go next.
Yeah.
And I guess it gets so rough that Green takes his rifle and he shoots Pugatock in the back.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Literally.
dude. Like, kills him. What? And then Green goes back to base camp. And he tells Macmillan, he's like, I shot the guy.
Whoa.
And Macmillan, and they share it with everybody else, and X-Blah is there too. But it was only the people on the expedition who knew this, not the Inuit people. Okay. They didn't want to anger the Inuit people, so they told them that Pugatock died in an avalanche.
Dang.
But the Inuit were not easily fooled. And they were like, well... So I guess Green had relations with Pugatock's wife.
Whoa.
And it turns out that Pugatock's wife was also Perry's mistress, and actually bore him 2 kids.
Whoa.
So, I mean, they just annihilated this guy's life. They ruined his life. And then killed him in an ice cave.
Whew.
And lied about how he died. And just like... Green never was prosecuted for this.
Yeah.
Just like that, he just did it and got away with it. But, I mean, the story keeps going. Just their bad luck just keeps getting worse. Because... they tried going down to Etah to take a ship back to America, but on their way down, the weather just like turned against them, and they were stuck there for another 4 months.
Jeez.
So, and it was December 1914 that Macmillan and Tanqueray, who was from the University of Illinois, they set out to get a letter to Etah because, like I was saying, their radio wasn't working. To get a letter down there so they could send that letter to America so they could send a ship to come pick them up. Yeah. And the weather, again, really bad, so Macmillan turned back, but Tanqueray kept pressing on, and he didn't arrive till March 1915, so it took him 3 months.
Wow.
So America gets the letter, the Museum of Natural History, the American Museum of Natural History, they send a rescue ship, but it wasn't equipped for Arctic waters, so it got stuck in the ice for 2 years.
Oh, no!
Jeez.
Oh, no!
So in 1916, they sent another ship that was also stuck.
How are these people surviving for this long?
And they probably had food.
They're eating snow cones.
I mean, they were there with the Inuits as well, so the Inuits know how to hunt that area, unfortunately. And so I guess Macmillan and Tanqueray said, whatever, we're gonna just sled dog it back all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how you get from Greenland to the States using sleds.
Is there like a little bit of a
There
ice
might-
bridge?
I don't think so, but there could be. I'm not
Doggy
sure.
paddle?
But basically, the entire team wasn't fully rescued until 1917.
Whoa.
So that's what happens when you make up an island.
Yeah. And then you're not even on the expedition.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah, the whole beginning of the story was that this guy admitted in his diary that he made it up.
Well, people didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
Because
Everyone-
it was in his diary that hadn't been published yet.
hmm
Whoa.
So there you go. Before you start naming fake islands Crocker Land,
Yeah.
you better think about the consequences.
That's wild.
So, and that's what I read. It was like, that's a Phantom Island. That was in the list.
Wow. That's a wild
It was
story.
easily the craziest thing I read.
Woof.
And it's sad.
It's sad. It's tragic. It's wild. It's just the insanity of one guy just making up an island so his boss wouldn't be mad at him.
I don't think he planned for all that to happen though.
Nope. But he should have thought about it.
Yeah.
Much more convoluted than thinking you saw an island when
Yeah.
you sailed by and just decided to chart it on the map and were mistaken.
Yep.
Yikes.
I was gonna say.
Yes. I'm sorry for such a dark note.
Well, I mean, I
It's
was
a
gonna.
good story.
Yeah, I mean, let's say we talk about one of the greatest Phantom Islands of all time, Skull Island,
Oh yeah, Skull Island.
surrounded by a tsunami that only has an opening every couple of years. You gotta fly in there, see them big old monkeys running around.
Well, they
Is
got.
that based in legend or
No, I think it's made up.
is
Mm.
this
Skull
fiction?
Island.
Yeah,
But they have Sumatran rat monkeys.
Yeah.
That's somehow tied to Skull Island.
Uh,
right?
well, that's because in the Peter Jackson 2005 King Kong,
Yeah.
there's the Beware Sumatran Rat Monkey bites,
Yeah.
and that's a callback to Dead Alive,
Oh.
which Peter Jackson
but
did.
they talk about it in Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah, I
They
think
say
that,
they got a shipment of Sumatran rat monkeys from Skull Island.
well, because so that to the King Kong that has it, that's a reference to Dead Alive,
Mm.
where the opening is a guy on Skull Island, but not. It's a it's a
Yeah, yeah.
tribute, and then he's running for some natives, and he's got a Sumatran rat monkey. That
Huh.
when it bites people, it turns them into zombies.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
it's this,
lit.
It's this gross little stop motion, it's like literally like a rat monkey. It looks.
That's cool.
Yeah, Dead Alive is a good movie, but be warned, it's got some gross scenes in it, and I think it held the record for the most fake blood on any movie set.
Really?
Because there's at the end, there's the part where the guy grabs a lawnmower and just goes through a horde of zombies.
Oh my lord.
But early Peter Jackson movies were awesome. I don't know where he lost it.
Well, speaking of that, Peter Jackson Skull Island, there's a book called The World of Kong that was released after the movie.
And it's about I think the volcano goes off in it.
Well, yeah, they talk about how the island was beginning to sink. It's very zoological. They give Latin names to all the dinosaurs and stuff there. Beautiful artwork.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
a cool book.
It really is, and I have it, and I mean I love that movie. But it's really interesting that they plotted out a course for the geological downfall of an island that doesn't exist. It's pretty remarkable.
Also, as an island that disappears with dinosaurs, Isla Nublar.
Gosh.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Jurassic World, the movie where you get to marvel at the dinosaurs as they get killed off violently.
I want to go to the island that has the giant rabbits.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Hy-Brasil, was it
And-
not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's got the magician hanging out there.
Chris
Yeah.
Angel's on the island.
Yeah, Chris Angel with giant bunnies.
I couldn't help but think about the Chronicles of Narnia,
Mm-hmm.
The Voyage of Dawn Trader. That's just Prince Caspian is all I gotta go explore the ocean now.
Yeah.
Well, he sent his 7 uncles to go check out the ocean, find the edge of the world.
Seven uncles for 7 seas.
There's only one sea in Narnia.
Oh, convenient.
Yeah, and they do find the edge of the world, but the
They
islands
fall
are
off.
the islands are really wackadoo.
Mm-hmm.
There's one where he find one of the last ones they find is some dude. It's set out this feast, and if you eat the food, you just pass out
Oh.
eternally. And so they find his uncle, and his beard has like grown so long it like stretches out over the table.
Oh, rude.
Just pass out, you don't die.
No, you
You
just
take-
continue living.
Take the best nap of your
Oh,
life.
one of the cool ones is the island where there's this river, and if you drop stuff in it, it just turns into gold.
Oh.
And so like they find like a dude who fell into the river because like he went to like put his hands in it and drink some, but
Yeah.
his hands just turned into gold and it just pulled him under.
Oh, no.
So he's like just frozen underneath.
This is a book, right?
Yeah, The Voyage of the
book.
Dawn Treader, yeah.
Yeah.
Turned into a terrible, terrible movie. It's nothing like the book, and the book is so awesome. It's my favorite Narnia book just because it's just like pure adventure.
Yeah.
Like there's some like crazy stuff in that book.
I never read those books.
Really?
Yeah.
Narnia's sick, dude.
I didn't read a
Yeah.
lot of books as a child. I'm kind of disappointed about it, honestly.
Well,
I need to read more books. I got books for my birthday, though, which I'm excited about.
Heck yeah, that's the best birthday gift, is a good book.
Yeah.
Speaking of wackadoo islands, Gulliver's Travels.
Oh yeah.
I think that maybe the Dawn Trader's a tribute to that, because it's
It
just
could
about
be.
a guy sailing and finding wackadoo islands that do weird things. And
See, I'm not somebody who would want to explore the ocean.
No, the ocean's not my territory at all.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. I think the ocean's really beautiful.
But
I
it's
think
full of like sea monsters or mermaids that'll kill you, and
I-
Stefan's down there somewhere in Atlantis plotting his revenge.
I don't even want to go on a cruise. Like, everybody talks about cruises and how amazing they are, and I'm like, no, keep me on the land. I want to have stable footing. I don't know.
I'm the same way though, cause I'm not a seafaring guy, and I'm not really a airplane guy either. I'm very much, I need to have my feet in the ground.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why Bigfoot's my favorite, because he's
Wanting
just
it deep.
yeah. I mean, I'm just like, dude, you're on the land, I'm on the land. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Make what happen?
I need to discover Bigfoot.
Sierra sounds.
No, the sea, like, just think about all of these phantom islands that people see and all these mirages and other things. Like, I want to see real stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be confused. I don't want to question what my eyes see, which I guess you should technically do on land anyways, too, considering how many cryptids there are.
Dude, UFOs?
UFOs?
UFOs. PFOs. Look to the sky. But
Oh,
yeah,
no, PFOs.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, because, you know, we've pretty much discovered the natural world as we know it, more or less.
But the thing about that is we don't even discover it. We just come across it.
Yeah.
There's no... The humans have not discovered anything. They just happen upon it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, isn't that what
it is-
discovering is? Just happening upon it?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
But I mean, it's just crazy to think that back in the day that it was just like, hey, you know, there's the ocean. What's over there? There could be islands, and some guy said he saw one, and they got big old bunnies running around, and one guy saw an island that, you know, I don't know what else. Weird islands.
Did you just completely forget everything we talked about?
I'm just thinking about the big bunnies. Honestly, I'm like, I
know.
want to go to Hy-Brasil. I want to pet these big bunnies.
Yeah, that's what stuck with me too. Big bunnies.
But yeah, I mean, that's it for this week, right?
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's all
I
I
was
got.
like,
I mean, you know, people go out there, claim to discover islands, but if I want to go into the ocean of the internet and discover where you are,
wow. You can find me at the Eli Watson on both Instagram and Twitter.
and what about yourself?
I am on Instagram and Twitter as well at Jasmine Maywith, JasmineMaewith.
And I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Alex Daikaiju, Alex DAIKAIJU, and we are
Cryptid Campfire.
Look at that, closing out the
Hey.
episode with
Yeah.
an in-sync name drop.
Ooh.
And you can find us on Instagram at Cryptid Campfire.
Mhm.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We also have a website, cryptidcampfire.com,
Ooh,
where you can get your official Cryptid Campfire t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's only $20, and that includes shipping. So go ahead and mosey on over.
Yeah.
But if you feel like supporting us in a different way, we also have a Patreon where we have exclusive episodes. You also get early access to episodes. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you get early episodes, you get exclusive content. We're adding more to it as we go on.
Mhm.
The Patreon's still fairly new, so stick tuned and, you know, if you're one of the original people to sign up, maybe you'll get something special down the line.
Exactly.
And you can always email us at cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of it. We got this crazy long sign-off
Yeah.
that we kind of meander through as we remember things as we add it to the podcast.
But, yeah, so I'm going to say thank you very much for listening.
Thanks for sailing the seas with us.
Yeah, and it's only going to get weirder and wackier as we go down this big blue ocean.
Is it?
I think so. Who knows? Maybe Stefan will show up again too.
Yeah, right. Well, see you, fellas.
Bye.
Bye.